Hello everybody, I am Dr. J and I'm excited to be with you today in my kitchen at my home where I'm going to cook a meal that really came down through the years. Through my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and they have given me some really soulful dishes that really came through and were inspired through the Caribbean, Ethiopia, really around Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, all of those flavors coming together and bringing it right here in Los Angeles, California, where I'm able to really provide it for my family and have a good meal at the same time. Now, I am a working mother, and I have a son who also survived a very serious heart condition. So I have to be very mindful about what I cook him, but at the same time, I want it to be good. So I'm going to make something tonight that I think is going to be really delicious, and I call it, well, it's really taken from my great-grandmother, and here's a picture right here. She made something really good. You know, she said, if anything, you got to have at least chicken in your house, some onion. If you have some butter, you got a meal. And that's exactly what we're going to do. But instead of butter, we're going to use some olive oil and kind of give it a healthier twist. And it's stewed chicken. Really fast, really easy. I really think anybody can do it. And I've been at work all day, and yet I know that if I have this, which she said you gotta have a black cast iron skillet. It's really just a 2-pot meal. I've got some rice that I've already started on the side, and we're gonna just invite some vegetables to the party, okay? So it's really simple. So we got some mushrooms. I'm just going to take, now listen, this is my chicken that has been marinating in some really easy marinade. So if anybody has any salad dressing of their choice, usually kind of a vinegary type of salad dressing, this has been really marinating for about an hour or more. You can even take it 24 hours. So it's just not that long. You can use chicken legs, thighs, wings, any part of the chicken that you want. So I'm going to go with what I have. It's an expensive chicken leg, so just one of those really inexpensive things. And I'm bringing some heat to this entire meal with just a little bit of a pepper. And then we're going to just kind of devein it, take out the seeds. And we're going to have some vegetables on the side, some really nice sweet green beans, and some celery, some onion, also some dried onion. This gives a deeper, soulful flavor. So whenever I used to ask my grandmother, sitting in the kitchen watching her and never really letting me do too much because she said, it's hot in here, watch yourself, you don't want to get burned. What I learned though, she used some of the dried vegetables that brought that deeper flavor. When she made her gumbos, she still even used some of the dried shrimp, even though she used some of the fresh shrimp. So I've learned to do the same thing. So if you can find this is really inexpensive. You can go to any local store, and they always have these dried goods over in the corner all together. So I'm ready to get going. The chicken is ready. I'm just gonna go ahead and chop up a little bit of my really big, these are some really big mushrooms, which kind of give another meatier portion. If you don't have a lot of chicken, this really kind of stretches your meal. So I've already cleaned them. Hands are impeccably clean. And then I'm gonna get to that onion. But the first thing I wanna do is get this chicken. Now I have some really wonderful flour. So it's not a lot, but just a little bit to kind of sprinkle around and coat our chicken. What that's gonna do, and by the way, you gotta get into the chicken. Not really a spoon or anything. You gotta get your hands into the chicken and you gotta coat it, because what this is gonna do is create also a coating, some sauce, kind of a roux, and really make this chicken turn more into a stew in an easy way. Okay, you guys, it's time to put the chicken in the pan. And it is really screaming hot. That's exactly what you want, so you can get that crust on the chicken, okay? So in goes that chicken. Kind of crank that heat up really high. And that's the kind of sound you want to hear. You want to hear that. That means it's singing. It is really ready to create a chorus line. Look how pretty that chicken is, by the way. There's nothing better than chicken, right? I love when she said, if nothing else, have some chicken in your house, you got a good meal. Okay, so we're gonna kind of save, we're gonna put this over here. And now, what I'm gonna do is go into cooking, cutting up and chopping up all of our vegetables. It's gonna go into the pan because, like I said, it's like a 2-pot meal. We gotta get the browning of the chicken, chop up the veggies, get it into the pot, it's gonna be ready for the table. Okay, I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, now I've already cut the mushrooms, and now I'm gonna cut the rest of the veggies. We're going to actually get this onion cut, take off the paper, and then we're gonna add the celery. And by the way, I love the celery stems too. It has a different kind of a flavor. Now listen, when you chop up that onion, you're not worried about trying to be perfect. Listen, we're moms, we're busy, and we gotta get that meal on the table. So try to just cut it as best as you can, and it's okay if you roughly chop. That's all we're trying to do. And oh my goodness, I'm looking for my garlic. Gotta get some garlic. Listen, if you guys don't have any garlic, well, you can use some of the bottled garlic if you have some, or your garlic powder. Don't let anything stop you from getting that meal on the table, okay? I don't even know where my garlic is. I probably don't have it. But guess what? We're gonna get started. Okay, so now we've got that. I'm gonna keep on going. Chicken has been sitting here cooking and just looking really nice, but it's time to turn it over. And this is the test, because you're looking for a nice brown, beautiful side. Oh my goodness, here they go. Okay, it's looking good. It is looking good. Our chicken is brown and beautiful on all sides. And we're just gonna turn them over so that the other side can get brown and beautiful, and really caramelize the other side, because once we start adding all of the other ingredients, the caramelization and everything at the bottom of the pan, once we add a little bit of water, it's gonna bring it all together. So you guys are gonna let this keep cooking, let the other side get some love, and we're gonna get back to our veggies. So I've already pre-seasoned the chicken and it did its marination. It's always good to have some extra seasoning on the side so that as you build the flavors, that you continue to kind of add some of those deeper flavors that are going to bring that to the surface and give a crunch to your chicken, as well as that soulful taste that you really need. So I have some chicken seasoning, a little bit of chicken seasoning. I have a little bit of seasoned salt, of course black pepper and paprika. So I even still kind of use the paprika over the chicken now to give it really a deep smoky flavor that paprika just does beautifully. But I also add some oregano. Now this is a wonderful seasoning that is does very well dried. You can use it fresh, but I suggest that you use it in its dried form because it will last through. It's really great for your pantry, and it just has that flavor that you need. Now the chicken is gonna keep cooking, but I'm also gonna cover it, because by covering it, it's going to cause it to also get cooked on the inside very well. So we're just gonna let that hang out, and I still have some more chopping to do. But one of the things that I did do was chop this delicious pepper that's going to bring some heat to this dish. Now, one thing about it is that it's not overly, this is a jalapeno pepper, and it's not overly hot, but what you have to do is take out the seeds and take out the ribs, and then you chop it, and that will give you more of a flavor of the pepper rather than the heat. I know my family, we can't take a whole lot of heat. I have to be mindful of my son. Some of you might have to do the same thing. So I suggest take out those seeds, but still be left with this delicious jalapeno pepper that's really going to be beautiful with all the rest of the veggies. Okay, so alongside of that, we're going to have some vegetables and our rice, and our meal is almost done. Okay, everybody, our chicken is almost done. Now listen, at this point, the chicken is not completely done. It is certainly just brown on the outside, and that's what we want. We want that caramelization, the good flavor, because in that flavor, in that brownness, so don't get afraid of that, is flavor. It is screaming flavor. So you see how brown that is? This is exactly what you want. This is what's going to create that delicious flavor on the inside and outside. So I'm going to bring the chicken and just transfer it over into this larger pan. Okay, a lot going on, but that's what's supposed to happen. This is what I used to see in my grandmother's kitchen. and wonder what is all of that noise. You know what it was? It was good food and flavor. So what I'm going to do, put the top back on here. Actually, I want to use this pan to kind of brown some of our veggies. I know that some of you might think you're just going to put this in the pot, but you know what? You want to get all of this great stuff that's in the bottom of this pan. And the way you do that is we're going to take these veggies and add them straight into the pan, because we don't want to lose any of that flavor. Okay? So you move quick and get it all in there. Oh yeah, if you have a small kitchen like mine, you gotta move and you gotta groove. So we got the onions, we got the celery and the mushrooms. And please don't forget that one jalapeno pepper. It's gonna bring some heat to all of this. Now, almost done. And you know what we gotta do? You got it right. We gotta season those veggies. Because once we add those veggies to this second pot, which is gonna sit for a while, at least an hour, we are going to have some of the best stew that you've ever heard of. Now, remember I mentioned these delicious dried onions. This is the time you put that in as well. On the chicken. Put it on the chicken directly. Okay? We're going to season with some black pepper. A little seasoning salt. Not too much. Some more paprika. You can't have enough of that. Brings that smoky flavor that I was talking about. And the oregano. Just a little bit more in there. You can actually add a bay leaf to this. You can add chicken stock. I'm going to just add water because I have some of the chicken flavor stock here. So you can have it dried, and I just sprinkle a little bit over the top. Not the best at measuring, just kind of sprinkling it to get some of that through. Always keep some extra. Now I have my trusty wooden spoon, which is going to help me just get all of that stuff on the bottom of the pan up. Okay? There we go. Now kind of take a look at the bottom of this pan. You will see, if you come look at this, you can see the bottom of the pan here. Really good. The vegetables are already sweating. They're starting to get their flavors. They're starting to come together. And really the salt and the seasonings are bringing out the flavor. They're really bringing all the vegetables together and they're marrying right in this pan. So when we add it to the chicken, it's just going to be beautiful. It's a lovely dish. One of those meals that you're going to remember, your family's going to remember all week long. Kind of probably stays, maybe some extra in the refrigerator to have the next day. Oh my gosh, the next day, that means the flavor has even went down deeper into all the vegetables and the chicken. Okay, so right here, this is about where you stop. We're not trying to cook the vegetables down. We really don't want that. We want to have some crunch. We want to be able to add some textures to this stew, because if everything's mushy and just, then it becomes just really something forgettable in one note, and that's not what we want. We want to have a variety of notes going on. We want to have some texture, some crunch, some soft, some chew, and we want everybody to say, wow, this is delicious, okay? So I'm going to add this one to the pot, guys. This is a heavy pot. And we're going to put all the veggies right on top of that chicken. Wow, look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? Now, don't forget any of it. We were taught you don't waste anything. You get all the food. Okay? Now we're going to create a sauce with this at the bottom. And all we're going to do is add some water, a pat of butter to create that flavor, and also thicken. We're going to thicken this sauce. Now what's happening here is all of those wonderful bits on the bottom, you see. That's why you have to use a wooden spoon. I remember my grandmother, she used to always use that wooden spoon and I was like, are you gonna get another spoon? She was like, this one still works. So I've been having mine for a while and it still works. So these wooden spoons are really a great tool to kind of get all the love that's on the bottom of these wonderful black iron skillets. You know, I'm really excited about this one because this one was willed to me from my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and I've kept it in the family. And one of the things about these wonderful cast iron skillets is that they just last so long and they have so many memories, and you really don't wash them. You just kind of rinse them out and keep the flavor in them, and all those flavors down through the years come through your food. So it's really great. So now once it gets to this point, we're gonna add a can of chopped tomatoes. So when you add this can of chopped tomatoes, it's already chopped, it's really great. You add the juice and all. You could, if you wanted to, chop up your own Roma tomatoes. That's a little extra work. We're all busy, and remember, we're on a time frame here. So you want to really actually get your canned tomatoes, any canned tomatoes of any kind, and pour it in. Look how simple that is. Beautiful. And as grandmother would always tell me, add a little water, because we do not waste anything. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now remember that extra chicken flavor? Just take a little bit of that, put that in to just kind of wake up those flavors from the can. You know, you kind of don't want a canny flavor to your stewed chicken, and some black pepper. You know what we used to call this? Doctoring it up. My grandmother used to say, doctor it up. When you doctor it up, you give it a little flavor. So there we go. A little garlic salt as well. And we're gonna take our spoon, and we're creating that sauce. Now, once we finish this, we're gonna pour this over the chicken and the veggies. And this pot is gonna cook on the stove for at least an hour and 45 minutes. And let me just tell you, what that's gonna do is just make a beautiful aroma throughout your whole house. It's gonna feel so good because you're gonna have this wonderful one-pot meal for everybody to eat off of. You can take a whole pot to the table. Everybody takes a bowl, scoops out their own, a little bit on the rice, some veggies on the side, your meal is done. A nice, delicious, probably iced tea, lemonade on the side, and it's all over. So all you want to do is get this sauce coming to like a little boil, and then we're going to add that to the veggies. We're going to get our top, and let's see here. And then we're going to cover it, and our meal will be complete. Don't forget, those dried onions are in that chicken. And all of that, once it hits the juices and it hits the dried veggies and then it hits your fresh veggies, all of those things have to marry. So that's the reason why it takes a little bit of time. But if everything's cut up ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator, all in separate little pieces and boxes and whatever you need, then when it's time, it's just about throwing it all together and you have a meal. Meal is done. You can have a piece of crusty bread or some cornbread if you like to sop up the juices. But this meal, I tell you, is going to be a showstopper. Your family is going to be so happy that you made this one hot meal, stewed chicken. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, everybody, it's done. Come get it.